So yeah, if I can help, I'll help, you know.
Yeah.
And if that works, I'll do that.
Do you think it's also because you bring in a lot of your real grassroots experiences
Yeah.
into play? Because, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
children don't relate or identify with professionals because they don't find it easy or think that they're on different levels. But with you, because you bring a lot of your grassroots experience to the role,
Yeah.
do you think that sort of helps a lot more? And also because you're a very familiar face across Bradford.
Yeah, I think that helps a lot, because a lot of them know that I've got kids as well, and they're all teenagers, and they've seen my kids and they've seen how they are,
Yeah.
and they're probably thinking that, you know, she's a good individual to speak to, and you know, we'll listen to her. And a lot of the parents look up to me, and then the kids look up to me. But you know, when I moved here and I lived at my first address, I lived near a park, and I come across them little kids that I used to look after, and they're now all adults, and they'll say, "Auntie, do you remember what you used to always tell us off? Don't do this, don't do that." And I was named as the auntie of the park then. Now these little kids have all grown up, and they're saying, "Look, auntie, we've behaved ourselves. We're in good jobs. You know, we've got a degree, we've got this." And I say, "Well done, well done." So yeah, I think it's this aura I've just got about me that, you know, it's like, "What you doing? Don't do this, don't do that," and they just all of a sudden just get scared.
This
You know.
discipline that you bring to them.
Yeah. In a good way.
Yeah.
In a good
Now,
way.
all this work that you're doing for parents during COVID, it's all voluntary?
Yeah, it's all voluntary, Fatima, yeah. I don't think I'll get furloughed through this. I won't get furloughed through it, but yeah, it's just something that I want to do. Because I think I'm just bored at home, and I just want to sort some little beings out, little individuals out, you know.
Yeah.
It's just something that I enjoy doing. So yeah.
So, Rehana, obviously, clearly we're in COVID. Children can't go out and play or socialise as they used to. Schools, we've been now asked to do home learning. So parents are becoming teachers and trying to teach their kids at home.
Yeah.
Which means everybody's on top of each other. They're not getting that escape.
Yeah.
So clearly, like you've identified, there will be challenges for parents.
Yeah.
So understanding the environment that we're living in at the moment, what parenting tips can you offer our viewers?
It's not a lot. Just two things, Fatima. All they've got to do is they need to sit down with the children, engage with them, listen to them, but they need to teach the children to respect and listen. Just two things they need to teach them, that's it. And once they listen, they will respect. Once they respect, they will listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are parents responding to the support that you're giving?
Do you know what? They just keep thanking me, and I say, "Look, I'm here for a reason, and I'll help you. You don't need to thank me. Just do dua for me. Just pray for me. That's all I want is your blessings.
Yeah.
But if I've got this quality in me, why not use it, Fatima? You know,
Yeah.
it'll just go to waste. I'm just sat at home.
Yeah.
If it's not my workouts, you know, I don't mind, you know, working out and sorting somebody else out, you know. It's good.
You do know that you probably might get a few more phone calls now that you've
Yeah, they can
told
do.
everybody else
They can
about
do,
it.
but if my line gets busy, I'll just tell them that, you know, speak to my PA, Fatima.
They'll never get through then poor things.
Oh dear.
So it's quite an interesting journey, isn't it? That you've had. When you look back at your 15 years, 17 years maybe in Bradford.
Yeah.
Do you ever reflect back, and do you ever look back and think, you know what, if I was not in Bradford, I'd have been in Oldham doing X, Y, and Z?
I do, you know.
Do you?
I do, yeah.
And what goes through your mind?
Do you know, if I was in Oldham,
Yeah.
I've got two domineering brothers that would not have let me do anything. But I love them to bits, though. I love them to bits. But it's you can't blame them, because
Well, you come from a Pakhtun
I am,
family,
yeah.
They're known to be very conservative.
Yes, very
strict with their women.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
yeah.
you know, you're dependent on the brothers,
Yes,
for example.
the women are dependent
to look
on
out for you, but you've completely gone full circle on that and completely broken all the norms.
You know, my older brother,
Yeah.
bless him, the strict one, you know, he's my father figure, and He's my older brother, and I look up to him so much. And he sat me down a couple of years ago, and he hugged me and he goes, "I'm so proud of you." And I said, "Why?" And you never think you'll hear that from that strict brother that you were so scared of when you were growing up. He goes, "I'm just so proud of you. I didn't know that you do it. A female security guard. And first of all, I wasn't even happy with you doing it, because I know that you would have had a lot of dealings with, being with the men and the women as well. The women would not have been a problem, but you would have had dealings with men. How would you have done it? But you've just proved to me that you've done it." So hearing that from my older brother was like, bless him.
Yeah.
He was so proud of me.
Yeah. Because security is very male dominated. In fact, I
Very
don't know any other Muslim Asian female in our vicinity that's in the industry. You might do, but I haven't come across any. So how did you make your mark in such a dominating male industry environment, and especially where there's very few from within our communities working in that field?
It's just the strong aura, I think, that of me that just helped me sort of like do my work and just get on with it, and not let the males sort of like feel intimidated with a little me being around them, because some of them did feel that, and it was like,
people who don't know, I've seen it. Normally you'd think that women are intimidated by the men.
Yeah.
But it's always been the other way around for you. The men have felt intimidated by you.
Yeah. So
how do you do it?
I don't know what it is, because
how do you give that?
It's
give
funny.
us some tips. We women need some tips. How do we achieve what you have intimidating the men?
I don't even know. I seriously don't know why they would even think that I'm intimidating, because if anything, they should be proud of a female being in the security industry. But some men can't see a woman being domineering like a man. So, and saying that, I'm actually, I'm not one of them, that scares people off. I'm quite nice on the doors.
Are you?
Well, only if I need to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you've got to be nice, because that's how you've got to diffuse a situation. Because like when I'm working with my team of lads, one of them, Umar.
Yes.
And what will happen is, if there's something that some kind of confrontation that needs to be done, the woman goes and sorts it out. But then if they don't listen, then you get the men in that are quite intimidating, and they lift them and they just get them out.
Yeah.
So I'm always there, the sweet talker. So and I'm very good at that.
Yeah.
But it's very rare that you will have to just go in guns blazing, because you've just got to be stern in what you say, and just make sure you're vocal and you're assertive and you're getting your point forward, really. In a nice manner.
So it's your character that really does it, isn't it? It's your character that brings everything out, and that's what helps with the role, and obviously gives you those skills to be able to have that authority over a lot of people. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you a question. You mentioned earlier that you were bullied when you were younger, and it is hard to believe, because when you look at you today, you're thinking, how can somebody bully Rehana? More like the other way around.
I know.
Do you mind sharing that experience with us and telling us what that was like when you were younger, and how you overcame and how you overcame it as well? Because for you to describe that you were bullied as a child, but then looking at you today and looking at what you've achieved and all the obstacles that you've overcome to get to where you are today, that is hugely inspiring.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be so many people, because bullying, as we know, is quite concerning for young people, especially now with social media. There's a lot more cyberbullying. So if you're able to give us an insight into what happened and what your experiences were and how you overcame them, that might help some of the people that are watching.
So it all starts in upper schools, doesn't it? Because the other two schools, it's all innocent and it's fine. But the school that I went to, it was a white domineering school. I must have been maybe the 7th Asian in the year.
Really?
Yeah. So
in a school of how many?
Oh God, in our year we must have, it was about 6 years in one school.
Yeah.
So when I started, like the first 2 years,
Well, yeah.
And I was very quiet. I was very like, shy and very quiet, getting on with my work. And it'll be stuff like, where they'd queue up in the corridors and I'd get tripped over. They'll get the foot out and I'll go flying. And just too scared to say anything because you wouldn't get heard even if you did tell the teachers. So you were just keeping it in, and then maybe like in the playground, as they're walking past the students and they just push you onto somebody else and you just gone flying again. So it was just like stuff like that, and like a bit of verbal abuse as well. Calling you the P word and stuff like that. So it was just like, I used to just ignore it. Then
you say it as if it's just like, oh, it doesn't matter, we're just this, but that's quite. For
It
me,
is.
just hearing about it, it's quite scary.
It is.
We
but,
say the P word. That's a
but
horrible word to
in
hear.
them days, it was. You couldn't really say anything because you just didn't want to. You just didn't want an argument. You just didn't want a fight. So I thought just to ignore it would be better.
Yeah.
So I think I was taking it for about a year or two, but then when I got to the third year, I started fighting back. So if I were getting pushed, I'll be pushing them twice as hard. If I was getting tripped over, I'll be tripping them over like so many times. So yeah, I just sort of like, I just freaked out in the third year.
Yeah.
And then I was fine. I was
Yeah.
okay.
But knowing what you know now, would you have behaved that way then, or would you deal with things differently? If you were to advise the child that you were then, as an adult now, you're advising the child that you were then that was getting bullied. What advice would you give her in terms of dealing with that situation?
The advice that I would give her, but the problem is, Fatima, you can only give this advice if you know that the school's going to listen.
Right.
Because in them days, they weren't listening. They wouldn't take it any further.
Yeah.
And parents wouldn't come into schools
Yes.
to deal with it like I was as a parent. I would be on the phone.
Yeah.
I'd be emailing my kids' teachers what's going on. Why has this not happened? I'd be on the phone. Parents' evening I would not miss. If I missed it, I'd make sure I attended. I made an appointment the next day. But our parents in them days never even came into school. So we knew that even if we did take it further, what would they do about it? So, but now I would say, take it further, because there are parents that will take it further and speak to the teachers, and they need to speak up.
Yeah.
They need to speak up, yeah.
So the advice you'd give to your younger self would be, go and tell your parents or go and tell a teacher.
Yeah, they need to speak up.
And something will be done
Do
about
not
it.
suffer silently. Do not do that, because that can affect the child long term.
Yeah.
And because of that, what happened to me, I am now want to help other children.
Yeah.
That's why I've chosen this field, to work with children in schools,
Yeah.
So I don't really want to teach, but I had to go into the classroom setting to teach, but I'm coming out of that and I want to work with students on the pastoral team, which a lot of schools have anyway, so that I've put into place, so yeah.
Yeah. What an inspiring journey. So because of your own experiences, you've now turned it all around to try and do some good from that, from your own challenges. You've turned that into a good thing to now try and help others with their challenges. Hugely inspiring, Rehana. In terms of your own children, obviously being a single mum, coming to a brand new city, starting up afresh, getting your independence, earning your own money, it must have been a real challenge from a personal front as well.
Yeah. It has, but life's full of challenges, isn't it, Fatima? It's always a challenge, whatever.
So is that what you were telling me about, if you've got any lemons? So people threw lemons at you and you turned it into lemonade.
That's what I've done. All the lemons that have been thrown at me, I'm putting it in warm water and I'm drinking it now. Yeah, absolutely. Good point, Fatima, yeah. Yeah. Oh, God.
Fantastic. I mean, so... you were talking about going to kids' parents' evenings and all that. So you're a very active parent.
Very, very.
And you were also trying to set yourself
The teachers
up.
loved me. They absolutely loved me. Some of them dreaded it. Some of them, they actually loved
I wonder why
when
they
I'd be on the phone.
dreaded
Yeah. And even my kids knew that they couldn't hide anything from me, because Mum's going to know before we even get home.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Yeah.
But, alhamdulillah, my kids, they've been brilliant.
Yeah.
the only issue that I wouldn't say it's an issue, but the only handful that I had with my kids was my boy as he was growing.
Yeah. Is it because he didn't have a father figure?
It could be, and I knew that. You see, I knew that he'd do stuff like break things, and
Yeah.
so what I started doing was I'd go to these Sunday markets, car boot sales, and I'd buy stuff from there. You know, like little, CD players, really cheap, and what do you call it? Anything that was like you would plug in, but it didn't work. And I just give him a hammer and I just tell him to break it, because he would
To
break.
get his frustrations
Yeah, because
out.
he was breaking things anyway. Like he'd be breaking my, the video player, or he'd be breaking my CD player, and I'd be saying, why don't I just get some secondhand stuff and just give it and put it in the garden? And he'd be just taking his frustration out of that, and that kind of helped quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah, that kind of helped, because with me, I did boxer size.
Yes. Yes, I
Do you remember I used to do boxer
Yeah.
size early years?
We couldn't go out for coffee because your boxer size was
Yeah,
more
yeah. I used to,
important.
you see, because I had my own inner, with the situations of
Inner
what
frustrations.
inner frustration. Everybody has that,
Of course.
and you've got to sort of like diffuse
Release
it,
it.
in release it. So, I used to go to the gym a lot, and I attended a lot of boxer size classes. That helped me a lot. So I got taught that, to get your inner stress out, just do something that will take it out. So with my son,
Yeah.
I'd buy him these things, and when I sit down with him today,
Yeah.
he won't believe that he was that child.
Yeah.
You
Because
know,
he's
but
got himself a job now.
yeah, he's
secure,
alhamdulillah, he's so
providing for you.
yeah, and he's so respectful. He's such a little gentleman. It's like he'll just sit there every morning and he'll speak to me before he'll go work, and he'll say, "Mum, I like these chats before I go to work." So we have these regular little chats, with my daughters as well. Where you get together and you have a little meeting. How was your
Yeah.
day? That's a regular in my household, because they need to know that their mum's there, the mum figure's there. And then, because I'm a mum and a dad, you see, so
Yeah.
I'm playing two roles. So yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So the security's helped as well, because that
Yeah.
becomes like the man figure, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the house. So yeah.
So, subconsciously, do you think that's why you went into security? Because you wanted to give that image,
Yeah.
that universal image that you're strong, you're powerful, you can deal with
Yeah.
anything, and you can be a mum and a dad in one go. And that role allowed you to enact that
Yeah.
professionally as well as personally.
I believe so. I think that's why that role suited me more, because my son even looked up to me, and he's never been disrespectful. He's always listened to me. He's never raised his voice. He'll have moments where he'll say, "Mum, I disagree with you there, but I'll agree with you because you're my mum." He'll have his ways. He's such a little charmer.
Yeah.
But I think that has helped, my work,
Yeah.
the security, being a security guard.
Yeah.
It has kind of helped a lot for my son, because, it's given that strong aura about me
Yeah.
towards my son.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped a lot as well. Yeah.
Because a lot of families, especially from the South Asian communities, because we've always been culturally brought up with the mindset that the man is the powerful one in the house.
Yeah.
He's in charge. He's a domineering one.
Yeah.
And you have to do as you're told when the man's telling you what to do. And the women are subservient. They've got to do everything else around the house. And I think then that passes on. So the next generation, when they marry, they expect, their wives to have that same subservient role within the family. And obviously, children growing up see that. So would you say, because you were a single mum, you were able to easily change that perception for your son? Because if there's two parents,
It would have been harder, because I'm actually speaking. The kids that I'm working with, and they've actually got mum and dad,
yes,
but their kids aren't listening.
right,
And then they'll say, "Rehana, how did you do it?" I say, I think it's easy for a single parent to do it, because there's not another voice in the background like the father or the mum. Because you always have one, in two parents, you'll have one good cop and one bad cop. So one parent will say, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then the other one will say, oh, let them do it, let them do it.
Yeah.
So that's where the kids,
So there's undermining of authority when there's two parents sometimes, isn't there? Yeah.
So that's where the kids start playing up. So I think that is one of the benefits of me being a single mum, where it's been one voice with the children, and it's just been me.
Yeah.
And the way I want things, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's my way, and that's
way.
it's the only way. But I'll make sure it's the right way, whatever way I teach them. You know, that will benefit them and their future.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's clearly evident from when I look at your kids now, because obviously I've seen them from when they were little.
Yeah, you've seen my kids grow up, haven't you?
Yeah, they've grown up in front of me.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely amazing watching your journey. But today, for the first time, it's been amazing listening to your journey, because we've never really been able to sit down and talk about your life. Because when you meet on a social, you just sit and, meet and social, and it's that moment and that time that you talk about. But you never talk about your journey and what you've been through and what challenges you faced, but also how you've nurtured your skills, your professional life, and shaped it the way you have. And I think it's been absolutely fascinating listening to you about parenting, as well as obviously listening to you in terms of how you've diversified your career and are doing something that you absolutely love and enjoy. And I think, Rehana, for the next thing for you is you should write a book for all parents on parenting, and obviously helping people with, definitely, because you've got those, like you said, I don't know whether it's your character, but you certainly have those real life experiences that you bring to the table, along with the professional teaching that you've had, the professional training. You put the two together, and you've got a winning formula there.
You see, I still think I'm not doing enough, but when I hear it from others, I'm humbled.
No, you are. And I think a lot of people, a lot of your fans will most certainly agree with me. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah. But thank you so much, Rehana, for joining us and for being on my yellow sofa.
Thank you so much. It's been an honour to sit on this amazing sofa.
It's a shame we're still having to be social distance. I know. Let's pray and hope that COVID disappears soon.
I know, inshallah. So we'll be able hope it gets better.
Yeah, we'll be able to continue our socialising.
I know, can't wait, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, and safe journey back home.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.